Hello, Colin. Hello. Hey, Colin, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, hello, hello. You are muted. Can you unmute yourself? Hello.
This is the first Christmas we've had together in years.
I love you guys. I'm making up for some lost time. Authorities are wondering if the masked vigilante who terrorized the city's underworld is back.
The past has caught up with me.
Should we be worried?
No, it's nothing. I'll be home for Christmas. I promise.
It's the most wonderful time.
Hey, Colin. Hello. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Why
I
not?
can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. I think we're good to
Oh,
go.
wow. I don't know what's going on with this, Scott. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, man.
It's,
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, I restarted the computer, so yeah.
Good
Oh, there
stuff.
we go. I think I'm back.
Nice
Sorry,
to
mate.
That's okay. That's a very tropical background you've got there.
Yeah, it hides the room mess.
Yeah, I used to, when I had a messy room, I used to do the same thing. So it's nice to meet you. And
Yeah.
why don't you tell me where you're at with the crypto system, and then I'll probably have some ideas about the best place for us to start, and we'll just start working on it.
Sure. Yeah, I was initially because I've done crypto before. I've done quite a bit of futures and things like that. A very long time ago, I did the forex, things like that. So I was familiar with the pairs and things, but crypto was a bit of a new animal. So when I first got into it,
It's easier and more difficult, right? Like it's
Say again, sorry?
coming from a futures FX background, you're used to things being a little bit more professional.
Yeah, and I'm used to working in ticks and things like that now because it's been about 5-7 years since I've been in forex. So it was a bit of a remembering thing. I'm assuming it's very similar. We've still got the base currency and the.
It's like trading from the 1990s. So it's like traveling back in time. It's very early days. So
Yeah.
it's very primitive trading platforms, very primitive everything, I would say.
Yeah. So it took a little while, and plus I'm a night shift worker, and I finish work on Monday morning. So when I was trying to figure it out, I had my eyes hanging out my head. I was falling asleep, and it was just. So last week, I don't know what I did. I think I used the slide on the charts and things, and I thought I had the right numbers and everything in, but turns out it was tiny little pieces. I'm thinking, oh, you'd be about a 25% return. And I looked at it, I thought, hang on, what's wrong with this? And then I looked at the dashboard, and I realised I was still mostly in USDT with about a millimetre of the others. And so this week I think I've sorted it out. I've checked on my dashboard. I've got Ethereum. It's fully done with Ethereum and the right numbers, I think. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So where I think we can probably improve things is by putting some logical procedure around how to execute these things, because some weeks you've got to sell 5, buy 1. Some weeks you're holding 5, you've got to sell 2 or 3 and buy 2 or 3 different ones. Some You're holding 1 and you've got to change for a different one. Some weeks you've got nothing to do. So it's slightly different every week. And as well as that, you've got the situations like yesterday where the market is falling very fast. It can become really quite stressful. You've got 5 things to do. Well, I'm doing this one. That one's falling off the plate. Fuck. How do I do it? Right. So there's a procedure. So the first thing that you want to do is assess, are the markets really, really moving fast while we're in front of them? Like if the markets are moving fast, it becomes exponentially more difficult to execute, right?
Yes, catching the falling knife. Yeah.
Or going up too. Like it's the same thing, right? Like, sometimes the thing is pumping and like you sell the thing that's pumping. It's like just giving away free money. Like in 5 minutes, it's going to be higher. So the first thing that we want to make the decision of, is this the time to do it? And then the second decision is it going to get worse or better if I wait? If the market's falling and, we hope it's going to get better if we wait, you've actually got to be able to make a real decision. Is that wishful thinking, or is that like, have we got actual reason to think that no, the bottom's in and it's probably going to recover if I give it another round?
Yep.
So I mean, you're an experienced guy. That decision should be fairly,
Yeah, I haven't seen it all yet, but that last video you did, you were talking about that as well, with the different coins and things. So
once we go to that, if the market is falling, and sorry, just a bit of lunch. if the market is falling and you've made the decision that it's unlikely to get better in a hurry, like in fact, it's going to get worse, we can lessen the blow of what's happening by double handling. So ordinarily what you would do is, like, let's say you have to sell QTUM and buy Sol. You would sell QTUM to Bitcoin and then buy Sol against Bitcoin. Like that would be the pair that you would use. Why would you do that? Because you're staying in crypto the whole time. So even if Sol or QTUM moves, then in theory, Sol goes up and Bitcoin is probably going to go up as well, or Sol goes down and Bitcoin. So you're lessening the wiggle in between.
Yeah.
But in a market that's moving fast to the downside, that wiggle actually works in your favor. So let's say you've got five things to sell. If you go to USD Tether or to cash in between while the market is falling, that's effectively like you've got to buy the things when you're done, so you're buying them at a lower price. So what you lose on one side, you gain significant portions of that back on the other side. So for example, yesterday I was able to execute while the market was falling quite fast, and I ended up with positive slippage for the day because it was quite obvious that Ethereum, which I had to buy when it was all over, was also crashing. So I got queued a limit order for Ethereum lower, and I made back all of what I lost and then some.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the first decision that we want to make is, should we do it now? And if I put it off, is it likely to get better or worse? And is that just wishful thinking? If you have to do it, the next thing is the market roughly stationary? Is it blasting to the upside, or is it blasting to the downside? If it's blasting to the downside, we want to use USD tethers or some other cash equivalent, or USDC or one of those. Doesn't matter, because that buffers our, if the thing's crashing and you're in cash, not so bad for you. Like pretty good actually. You're going to buy it back cheap. The next thing that we want to do is go through the things that we have to buy. Now, it's unusual to have to buy 5 things. Most times you like selling 2, buying 2, selling 3, buying 3, that kind of thing. Let's say you have, worst case scenario is you have to sell 5. We want to triage them, put them in a reasonable order, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but what we're looking for is what is likely to move really quickly while I'm doing this. This whole thing is going to take between 5 minutes and 30 minutes. What is likely to move and what is likely to move fast, and let's put those up the top. Because I just don't want the things that will, and there's no way to know the future, but you can have a pretty good sense of, wow, that looks really fragile. I should really get that one done first.
Yeah.
So we execute them in a reasonable order. How do we do that? The first thing that we do is a passing grade for you is matching the results of the system. So I'm able to consistently beat my own system results by roughly 0.5% a week. And I do that just by being, having a pulse while I'm sitting in front of the screen. It's not even very difficult. Like, you just have to have a pulse and like a procedure. And yesterday was more difficult, obviously, but I still managed to get positive slippage on the day. So the first thing that I do, are you in front of a computer or a mobile phone?
Computer.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. And so we might hypothetically do it together and say, like, as though you were executing today. Sorry.
It's funny, because I bought in such small amounts of my screw up on the others, I can't even sell them. They had to be like a minimum of 1 and things like that. I'm just wondering how I get converted into something else. It might be BSB or something, I suppose. Yeah.
Which exchange are you using?
Binance.
There's a little button for Binance to convert the small balances because you end up with what they call dust. You end up with small amounts of shitty coins everywhere. And there's a button that lets you convert them all in one go to Binance coin, which is their coin. They don't charge you fees for it. So you can sell Binance coin for the thing. That's how you do it. I'll log into Binance when we're done. I'll show you how. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is So the price that we're trying to beat on average is the closing price. Now, this kind of defies a one-size-fits-all spreadsheet. So I just put one line for every execution. So let's say I try and execute at 174.29 and my order doesn't get filled and I get half of it at 165 and then half of it at 160. I just put an extra line. So I might have 3 or 4 lines for every coin. And I'm working out, first of all, what I want to do yesterday. The first thing I want to do is move all drawings. So the first thing I'm doing is going through my 5 things. And this one looked like this yesterday. I'm putting a line at the closing price. And I usually do that as a red line. And I'm putting them in an order of what seems likely to fall off the plate. And this one to me looked like it was ready to fall off the plate yesterday. It looked like a very dangerous thing. So it went straight to the top of my list. So we'll do it as though you were executing today. The price you're trying to beat is this closing price. And you're trying to sell it. So you're trying to get at least here and preferably up above that. So we've got Luna, we've got Sol. Sorry, the closing price is here. So does Sol look particularly dangerous, like it's going to fall off the plate, or does it look like it's probably okay?
Still uptrend.
Exactly so.
Probably okay.
So it's probably not. So yesterday it looked like top priority. Today, not so much. Today looks kind of like pretty good, actually. So the third one we've got is Avax. Okay, you have to sell and beat this price. How do you feel about your ability to beat this price, the red line price?
Currently pretty good.
It's not at the top of the list, right?
Yeah.
It's at the bottom of the list. So, okay, so it's at the bottom of the list. Okay. How do you feel about this?
It looks like it's sort of got support there. It's okay. It's probably
okay. Looks like I'd have no idea, but it doesn't look like in danger of like, oh fuck, in the next 10 minutes it's going to fuck us, right?
Yeah, it's not a stone yet.
Okay, and the last one is how do you
pretty
feel
similar.
about it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's a bit iffy, isn't it? So
it's a bit dodgier than the last one, right?
Yep.
So what order would you pick them in? I would probably put Luna, this number 2.
I can't remember what else. Q-time probably
sorry,
first. Yeah.
Sorry, say again, please.
This current chart might be worth looking at first, certainly compared to Luna and the rest.
All right, so let's do this one first. So we're doing it in 3. We're doing it in 3 stages. The first thing we're doing is writing down the closing price that we're trying to get, 12.479. So I'll put in the rollover. Okay, so we have Q-ton, and the price we're trying to get is, closing price here is 12.479. Okay, now the next thing we do is we drop down to a 1 hour chart. We ask ourselves, are we in a trading range or a trend? That's the first question we ask ourselves. And if you don't know, if you have to squint at it, you go, oh, I don't fucking know, or maybe it's a this, or maybe it's a that. You could argue both before it's a trading range.
Yeah.
So trend or trading range?
Trading range.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
Okay, so the price now, let me load up finance, Q-ton. Let's have a look at their order book. Okay, so now we've seen a 1 hour chart. It seems like we're going to be able to get a fill at this price. Load down to a 5-minute chart. We can currently get a fill above this price, right?
Yep.
Do we want to take any risk and get a bit cute, like at a bar high or something like that? Or are we cool with that? I'd probably go for a tick or more, like 12 point. Where would you place small?
Well, I don't know if it was just a weekly thing. I'd probably be happy to take the profit now, but
yeah, exactly. So, like, the thinking wise, you're not trying to generate any alpha. You're just trying to get out better than the red line. You can do it. Now, if we hit market order right now,
what's that going to give us?
What happens? So the last price is 12,445. If we sell again at 12,443, which is perilously close to the price that we want. So I'd probably place a limit order. Now, how do I work these bid offers? So there's 3 parts to it. The first thing I do is I look at these past market trades, and I look at it for about 5 seconds. So you can see, so the first thing that is immediately apparent is there's no fucking trades happening. There's hardly any market here, right? Like, we haven't seen new trades. You know, there's a couple more, but you know, like, this is a slow market. This is nothing that's moving, right? Slow market is very different than a fast market. So a slow market, we definitely want to use a limit. Now, the next thing we want to do is a green price is where a buyer has crossed the spread and paid up to the best market. A red price is where someone said fuck it and crossed the spread and paid what they're up and accepted a lower price because that's all they're offering. So what we want to see is just look at it without even considering the prices and go, is one side or the other clearly in control? And I think one side is clearly in control here, right?
Yeah, it's greens. Yeah.
It's a green board. So green board, the next thing we have to take into account is how much are we selling? You know, I'm selling over 100 grand of all these things. You just take a quick look at there and go, you know, the Q-ton price is $12. There's millions on the offer. Like, this is a deep market, but it's still not much happening. So we can probably get a little bit ambitious and go, you know, one of the ones up here if we're trying to sell. Okay, so in this instance, I would say 12.49, 12.459, and we would have already got a fill.
Yep.
Okay, so at that point, you write down previous close, exit, 12.549, slippage, and the formula is
Exit minus,
this
C3.
minus that,
C2.
divided by that, and then format as a percent. So we got a 0.5% positive slippage, right? Next one. What was our next one to do? Luna, USDT.
Oh yeah, Luna. Yeah.
Okay, so we start with the hourly and go, are we going to get that?
Yeah, it's a chance.
I reckon you're probably going to get that. Why do we think so? Because we're in a trading range, and trading ranges probably trade towards the top of the trading range.
Yep. And it's not at the top, so it should reach it.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to reach it. So in that instance, we place. So where is our benchmark? We're trying to get 37.18. And we're going to go 37.18 as a limit order. What I do is when that order hasn't filled, I just color it so that I know that it's not filled. place that order, and then we'll come back to it. So we'll come back to that one.
Mhm.
What was next on our list? It was
So,
Sol, exactly so. So okay, that looks reasonably difficult. So our benchmark is 169.53. And what does that look like? Firstly, on a 1 hour chart.
Well, sideline, yes, it's still sideways, but it's starting to trendle. Well, no, actually, no, it's not. It's still sideways.
Could go either way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got something that's probably a coin flip call, right? Okay, how do you handle a coin flip?
Wait a little bit longer and check it, or?
Yeah, so as a general proposition, you don't want to leave these out. You don't want to screen watch for a start, because that sends you crazy. That's just terrible self-harming thing. Excuse me for 1 second. I just left some food in the oven. I just pulled it out.
You're all right. No.
Sorry about that. So
Yeah, you're right.
the hierarchy of decision making that I personally use is 1 hour, 8 hours, then cut the cord. So I don't want to leave an open-ended situation where I can ever be like sitting there watching this at 2 a.m. going, come on, I can't go to sleep until, that's just, it's not okay.
Soul destroying.
It's all destroyed. Yeah. The worst. I've been sent to prison many times, and all of the worst days of my life are like staring at a screen, like waiting for a margin call, like never doing that again. It's much worse than being sent to jail. Like, much worse.
Oh, God.
So we would place 169.53, color it, and then move on to the next one, which was coaching.
Yeah, Cody or Avax, one of the two. Yeah.
Or Abex. So let's look at coaching. Okay, so where are we trying to be? We're trying to be 0.3052. Where are we now? So let's just
Still in good, Tom.
okay, so 5-minute chart. This thing's going up. We're above our benchmark. Let's take another look at it at a 1 hour chart. How do you feel about this after looking at it on the 5-minute chart?
Well, I still got a little way to the high, so I could go a fraction higher, but I don't know. If it's once a week, I'd be happy to take that now because you're above the benchmark.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take it now also, but yeah, I in the interest of get it done, I'm looking at that, and so where am I placing the limit order? I'm going about halfway between the bid and the offer, which is the last trade, 0.3059, and I'm placing an order at 0.3059.
That was mostly reds too. On the, it looks like there's greater selling there, but on that volume on the side. So
Okay, so let's move this down to 0.3059. Already got a fill.
Hmm.
So now we're at 0.3069, definitely got a fill.
Hmm.
Okay, so we got one more. What's the last one? The last one is Avax.
Avax.
So let's look at it on a daily chart. We're already in profit, no problem. Now, that's potentially retesting these highs. It's broken out, but it's not a risk that you really want to take, right?
Mm.
Got any strong feelings here?
Oh, it's trading range. It's near the top of the trading range, so I'd probably out if I could. Yeah.
Exactly so. Your instincts are really strong on this point. And so on a 5-minute chart, that could go down if near the top of the trading range. So just spend 5 seconds watching two-sided market, sellers and buyers about evenly matched. Buyers probably in control a little bit. Probably 56 or probably 56 even.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was the actual price? Sorry. The price that we've got to beat is 53.15. And let's look at it for 5 minutes. Add on the line. And it hit it while we were there anyway. It busted past it while we're talking about it. So we've got to fill that. Now what do? Now we go back and check these other two. So we check Luna. Looks like it's going to get there.
Hmm.
And we check Sol. Doesn't look bad either. Okay, so we've got 3 out of the 5 done. The next step is to set an alarm for 1 hour from now. You're going to check it 1 hour. If you still haven't got a fill, check it in 8 hours and then cut the call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the other side of that is we have to buy Ethereum because you got a bunch of tenants.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the price that you've got to beat for Ethereum is 32.85.35.
That was the last close, was it? Yeah.
That was the last close. And so now we drop down to 1 hour chart. See, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Should that line slightly wrong. Okay. 1 hour chart. You can slightly beat it now. Don't forget, you've only got 3 out of the 5 positions worth of USD tether sitting there. You're trying to get, because it's reversed, because you're trying to buy low and not sell high. Do you think getting this line is realistic? Let's look at it on a 5-minute chart.
Sorry, just run that by me again. We're trying to buy low, aren't we? So yeah.
Buy low and sell high. So can you get the line?
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
I think it's worth a shot, right?
Yeah. Mm.
So we place our order at 32.85.35.
Mhm.
And then I'll say, so that you know that you've got two more, because when these eventually fill, you've got to do the same thing, right? So what would that look like if all those fill? You would be 1.23% in front on your sells, breaking even on the buys. Good day at the races. Like an extra percent a week, they're nothing by the time you compound it. Like that's worth doing, right?
52% a year. Just
Well, it's much more if the thing compounds like it can. It's a lot more than 52%. It's like 100%.
Brilliant. So this is what you're doing. I noticed yesterday, Sunday afternoon, I don't even know when that was, but some of the AWE numbers had disappeared. Is that because you'd exited at that stage, or like they were just blank? Have I lost you? There's the chat.
Hey man, sorry about that.
Oh, that's right. I couldn't figure out if it was me again or you.
That was me. My computer Zoom overloads the processor and it heats up, and every now and then it crashes.
Yeah. No worries.
Sorry about that. Okay, so where we were at, let me share my screen again, and it's.
So this is what you're doing every week. We're still talking the AWE, aren't we? So yeah. I noticed around Sunday afternoon. I got you still, yeah. that some of the AWE pairs had gone blank. Is that because you'd exited at that stage when we got to that big green candle and things in Lunar, I think it was? And
on which day?
I think it was around Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, that was probably some kind of error, I'd say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Things only change on a Monday.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, so let's just look at our execution and take one last look at the things that we were trying to achieve. All of those look like they're probably going to fill, right?
Yep.
So that's what we're trying to do. So Luna USD at 37.18. It's not there yet, but it looks like it.
Yeah, good chance.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to get there. And Sol at
you'd have a limit on that 37.18, wouldn't you? So limit order. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Is there a stop loss under it anywhere, or
no?
You can't do it.
Crypto markets, you can't use stop losses because they have flash crashes. Like Ethereum can crash down to like $5. And if you have a stop loss at $1,000 or something, you get taken out.
God. Yeah.
And they've got no sympathy for it. They're just like, oh, you had a stop loss there. So Sol at 169.53. So there looks like it's probably going to get there too. So at this point, you would say, okay, I'm going to set an alarm for an hour.
Yep.
I'm going to check. I'm not going to screen watch it. If it's not hit in an hour, I'm going to make a decision. Do I want to leave it on until 8 hours from now, so 7 hours? After that, I'm going to cut the cord, go back to Binance, get halfway between the bid and the offer, and work a limit that's going to get a fill. And the way that I choose my limit orders is something that's going to fill in the next 20 to 30 seconds. So I don't just want to cross the spread and just give away money, but by the same token, I don't want to be sitting here for hours like with my dick in my hand.
What's the worst case scenario with the spread? Are you going to be losing, a few percentages at a time? Or?
Okay, so that's heavily. Let's have a look.
Because the volume's sort of not really much help on the charts or anything of these, is it? They're
okay, not at all. The volume is
yeah, the market makers, or yeah. I suppose they have market makers in crypto.
Yeah, I know one of them on Binance. They get paid a lot of money actually. Okay, so the answer to that question is heavily dependent on the pair, what it's traded against. As a general proposition, the USD Tether pairs are more liquid than USDC pairs, and Bitcoin is usually second most liquid. Sometimes Ethereum is more liquid if it's like a coin that's traded a lot against Ethereum. So there's no one size fits all answer. But so QTime is probably the least liquid coin we traded yesterday. Let's look at the difference between the spread. 491 to 50 to 497, so about 2 cents on the spread, which is not nothing. Like 2 cents on $12.50. That's 1/5%. Thank you, darling. Yeah, so I would, it's only 1/5%, but you're also paying 0.1% in fees, and if you're doing USD Tether, you're double handling, so you're paying 0.2% in fees. So my goal for doing this is to try and beat the fees. It's an expensive market to trade. I just want to beat it.
Bitcoin. Yep.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So before we do all these things, where like the other said, just say you got a range of Bitcoin or something, they would just convert everything to Bitcoin and then just trade everything from there, or when you buy the new ones?
That's generally what I do, except if the market is falling. If the market is, thank you, Don. If the market is falling fast, I want to use tethers, pay the extra commissions. So I'm paying one set of commissions into tethers and one set of commissions back, because I'm worried that in that time I'm going to get fucked, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's very mobile.
Okay, anything else I can discuss with you today?
You mentioned in some of the other things you have two accounts, Binance and Independent Reserve to take the cash out. Is there any reason that you need two?
I've never tried depositing money to Binance because they're not an Australian firm. I like the idea when I give someone money out of my Australian bank account that I give to an Australian company with Australian jurisdiction, with a physical Australian office. And if they fuck me, I can submit papers on them in Australia and I can call the cops on them in Australia. You try calling the cops on a Hong Kong company that's registered in the British Virgin Islands, they're just going to laugh you out the door and say you got fucked.
I got fooled because it had a .au after it, so or the Australian site, and I thought, we're part of Australia, but no, not the case. I was doing, I'll let you get to your lunch, sorry, mate. So yeah, basically just convert to BTC or USDT and then go from there, basic currency. I think that's about it. They were the main problems I had. I noted most of them out when I actually woke up long enough. Yeah, but that was a bit of a.
It's a trivial thing, right? It's like it's surprisingly difficult to do.
Yeah. I thought I'd pick it up really easily. I understand all the basic tenets, but actually doing it's another matter. That's the art, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I thought I'd pick it up really easy too, but it turns out it's not the case. It's actually I sat on all these markets for years and think I'm a real trader. Like this is all just like children's stuff, and it's harder than it looks.
Oh yeah, they're all harder than it looks. Are you in Brisbane still, or are you somewhere else? Or?
I'm in Bangkok.
Oh, okay, right.
I'd like to get back to
England. I thought it's quite chilly in Brisbane today. Yeah.
I wish. I'd love to get back. I'm missing home quite badly, actually. But
you just stuck out because of the COVID stuff, are you? Oh.
Usually, we spend about half the year there and half the year here. But
yeah.
We'll probably come back for a couple of years when they open it up. Like I miss Australia enough. It's probably time to come home for a while.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. That's really cleared up a lot of things, and I really appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully, I'll see you in the other program. So,
Keep in touch, man.
See you then. Thanks, Scott.